Hello again, everybody. You're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. I am your host, Felipe Malicio. Short on time, no camera. Trying to get as quickly through this list of players I have on here as quickly as possible. So I'm kind of short on time today, but I still wanted to get this out of the way. I've been working on this for a little bit now, and it's been a couple of weeks since the last time I've done an episode. So I am due, you are due, we are all due. And without further ado, again, this is not a Total Basis podcast episode without the magical spreadsheets. So as you can see, still working on this, uh, looking at players who are owned in less than 50%. They have less than 50% ownership rates over at CBS Sports.com for their fantasy baseball leagues. And again, the reason I do it this way is because I feel like anything below 50%, those players should still have a very likelihood to be available in your leagues. Excuse me. And that's why I do it that way, because I feel like it ain't, if I do it for less than 50% of the players, it's more likely it's beneficial to all of us. Plus, what's the point of me talking about players that every fantasy baseball podcast has talked about, every fantasy baseball article has mentioned? And let's see if we can get to that next wave with starting out with Jurickson Profile right here. And so if it's for those who are watching on YouTube, I highlighted Jurickson Profile's name in this little pinkish color, as I'm still trying to account for batting average on balls in play and not just on raw numbers, because it's ridiculously early still. Um, things that there are still things that do not make any sense. We're still trying to figure out what the current trends are. And we're trying to see if these players are actually a thing this year. So for this one, the original list started with 36 players. I was able to scale it down to, I think, 19 is what I put down. Let's see for today's date. I know I have it for uh April 18th is the list when I created this list. Yeah, it got pared down to 19 players, and at the beginning with Jurickson Profar, who ended up being the best of the bunch in terms of the batting average and balls in play. And for for me, accounting for that, I had to look for players that had a BABIP between 280 and 380. So I know 380 is still high, but it's still better than the 400 and the 500 BABIPs that I was seeing out there. So at least, what was the highest BABIP I saw here from this pared down list of 19 players? So as soon as my computer cooperates with me on the other screen, 516, Lamont Wade. Lamont Wade Jr. Of this list of 19 players, Lamont Wade Jr. had the highest BABIP of 516. There's guys with 485, 439, 436. That's ridiculously high. So Jurickson Profar is our control player, so to speak. He's owned 46%, and his stock keeps rising. It was like at 40 at the beginning of the week, and then it got to 42, 44, 46%. So I figured, well, things are looking up for the guy. He's currently at the time of at the time that I posted these numbers that you see in front of you, batting average of 313, 413 on base percentage. The weighted on base average is 406. So he's off to a great start. Looks like he's finally getting some playing time, carving a niche for himself in San Diego after kind of uh, kind of having to wear that bus label for a long time in Texas. If you guys remember, he was supposed to be the next big thing over there. He was at one point the number one prospect in all the land. Um, and he gets to San Diego and looks like he's finally carving a niche for himself as an everyday outfielder, mostly left field here this season. So it's good to see him do that. Let's see what he's done so far. Yeah, having the same typical season as he's had in San Diego, uh, double digit walk rate, and a strikeout rate that hovers around 15 to 17%. So it's the same old Jurickson Profile that we've all known and loved. The BABIP is way high this season, currently posted at 353 over at Fangraphs. It usually goes the 280 mark that I was like looking for, right? That's usually the highest it ever hovers around in San Diego. I know it's a hitter's ballpark, and the batting average isn't that well either in his career with the San Diego Padres. So it's kind of it's almost a too good to be true situation here for Jurickson Profar. But at the same time, he's finally getting the vote of confidence from his team that he's going to be playing every single day uh, in left field. And where's he? There he is. Uh, Looks like he's usually batting fifth. Almost every single day he's batting fifth, and he even has taken some turns batting third. I see that he has played first base recently this past week, so that should be good for his eligibility. Uh, what you're not going to get from the guys is stolen bases, but everything else, the plate discipline that's something that can't be taught. He has a good batting eye. Will it translate to high batting average? It remains to be seen, but he does post a decent amount of uh, on base percentage with the high of 343. Well, that was a 2020 season, so that doesn't count. Outside of the pandemic, 331. That's respectable for a guy of his stature. Um, and he hovers around that uh, slightly above average hitter in Major League Baseball. So it's good to see him. Yeah, but there is a lot of with anything, there's a lot of red flags, right? I mean, he's the career high exit velocity right now. The same old barrel rate that is less than 5%, so 48.1% hard hit rate. That should be a career high if his season were to end today. How's he? But the batted ball profile, 25% line drive rate. So that's the highest it's been since 2020. Again, short sample size season there as well. But the ground ball rate, fly ball rate, those seem to be all normal. Pop up rate is a little lower than usual. So if it goes up again, will his numbers dwindle? I think so. But for the moment, uh, I think people are starting to notice him because, like I said, his ownership rate keeps going up and up. So I think now would be the time to get on the Jurickson Profar train at the moment before it gets a little late. And that's again, we're trying to figure out because we know these guys are not going to hit the way they're hitting. Jurickson Profar is not going to hit what was this weighted on base average? It was the WOBA. It was 394. Yeah. Oh, so it rose since I. Oh no, sorry. So it's already dropping. It was at 406 at the time of that I gathered the data. Now, according to Fangraphs, it's at 394. So it's already dropping, but that's what we want. Like, if it's we know it's gonna drop. That's just baseball. It's going to drop. It's not gonna be this high forever. But will it be a gradual drop or will it be a sharp decline? And that's what we're trying to figure out. And I think I'm pretty confident in saying that this hot start will be a gradual decline. So he's still useful. You can still use him for uh if you're looking for outfielders. Uh, let's see, just out of curiosity, what other outfielders are available at a oh yeah, right. Since I use left field, center field, right field, Profar's a left fielder. So uh let's see, Colton Cowser, 92% ownership rate, Jesse Winker at 25%. But do we trust Jesse Winker? And he's only DH. Oh, he's finally got left field eligibility. Okay. He was only listed as DH the other day. Let's see here. Taylor Ward, 91%. Josh H. Smith, who also qualifies at third and shortstop. Esteury Ruiz, I get 64% though. So do we think that he's still available in your league? I guess it's possible, but it's again, that's why I do 46%, less than 50% ownership rate, like the way you're seeing here with Jurickson Profar, because I think Profar would be more than likely available as opposed to a guy like Esteury Ruiz, who was a highly sought after commodity this past season, this in these past draft season, and he made a lot of noise as he was perplexed. As many fantasy leaguers were left confused as to why he was sent down to the minors. Well, it looks like he is either getting ready to be brought up or he just got brought up. Let me see what the uh what okay. Athletics Esteury Ruiz, second homer in 3 games. 2-run home run. So on April 18th, went 1 for 5 with a 2-run. This is a as of April 18th update. Went with a 2-run home run, a stolen base, and an additional run in a win over the Cardinals. Okay, so he's already up. I didn't realize it. I didn't really care. but for those who do and are believing that Esteury Ruiz is finally hitting the way that people thought he was supposed to be hitting when he was a prospect with was it the Padres, the Brewers, and now the Athletics. For a guy who's supposed to be a hot hitting prospect, he gets traded a lot. Uh, there he is, 64%. Mitch Haniger, 48%. Brandon Marsh, Jake Fraley, Brian De La Cruz, Osvaldo Cabrera, Dalton Varsho, 49%. Oh, I should have added him to the list. Oops. Oh well. Sal Frelick, guys like that are the kind of left fielders that are available. So there are some players that are better than Profar, but will they be available in your league? It's hard to tell, but I feel more confident that a guy like Jurickson Profar is available. Plus, it's the next wave of free agents, of waiver wire players trying to be ahead of the curve a little bit with this as well. So, obviously, it's your league, it's your team. Check accordingly. Compare Profar to other available outfielders, left fielders, in particular, if you play in those types of leagues. But again, get it while the getting's good. I mean, of the 19 players on this list, again, Jurickson Profar, uh, with the 394 WOBA, is sixth on this list of 19 players I have here. And let's see. And I think part of Profar's game is that he's a high contact player. And so that helps him a lot in trying to avoid the strikeouts and get the batting eye and the approach in there, and that puts him. Where is he? Oh wow, there's guys who have like Anthony Rendon is part of this 19 player list. He's at a 92.9% contact rate as of right now. So Profar at 80%. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty damn good. No, that's ninth out of this 19 player list. The 80.5% contact rate for Jurickson Profar. 58.9% outside the strike zone contact rate. So that seems a little low because I could have sworn he was like a guy who could really put the bat to the ball here. But yeah, that is the 15th highest. So 15 out of 19. That's a head scratcher. I always thought it was higher than that. Let's see, where is that? Jurickson Profar plate discipline on the other screen. Let's see here. Okay, so he has averaged 70.8% outside the strike zone contact rate throughout his career. So he's doing less than that as of right now. So, and that's with teams not pitching to him in the strike zone. So teams are starting to get a little bit worried. So he's seen a lot more pitches outside the strike zone. So he's kind of struggling. Plus, he doesn't swing at all. He's a very patient hitter. So he's waiting for those pitches inside. So the fact that he's doing all this, not getting the pitches that he's used to seeing all the time, I think it's just adds to the intrigue and to see what we got here in Jurickson Profar, because he's doing this with less than his usual plate discipline in terms of the contact rates. He usually posts higher outside the strike zone contact rates. He usually sees more pitches inside the strike zone. But everything else is the same in terms of the swinging strikes and the call plus swinging percentages. Yeah, call plus swinging strike percentage. Everything else hovering around the same. So we'll see how I think that if there's going to be a decline, but it's going to be a gradual decline, you can still benefit from his hot bat. So check him out in your leagues. Another guy we're going to talk about, Mason Wynn, and that's the player I chose regardless of if he's doing well in terms of the BABIP or not. He has a pretty high BABIP as of right now. Uh, as of this recording, he's currently at 381, but that's 10th on this list. So it's the 10th highest out of 19 players. So it's not like it's super duper high. And let me see here. Yeah, so it's not like it's ridiculously high on this list of guys who are off to great starts. So let's see. And Mason Wynn, he got a lot of attention as a prospect, not necessarily for his bat, but more for his defensive prowess. He of the lightning arm and the flashy glove. So he showed a lot of promise in that area. As I'm waiting for this thing to load up on the other screen to show you guys. Let's hover. Let's bring this over here. There's the Mason Wynn Fangraphs page. As soon as this thing cooperates with me, let's make this a little bit bigger for the people to see in all its glory. There he is, Mason Wynn, 22-year-old, second round pick for the St. Louis Cardinals. There's the Fangraphs prospect grade as of 2024. He's over, so it's the promising hit tool. So is that what we're seeing right now? Is this the hit tool that everybody's talking about? He currently at 45, but it can go as high as 60. Some latent pop and power in there. Uh, yeah, as you can see, there's the quick report on him. He had huge arm, mostly of plus bat to ball skills and viable shortstop defense. Defense is only 40 out of 50, but I mean, we've seen the highlights 60 speed. We've seen the highlights of this guy. I mean, he really flashes the leather and just throws rockets to first base. He the 100-mile-per-hour throws from shortstop to first base. He had 18 home runs in AAA, and he coupled that with 17 stolen bases. So that's a pretty good pop and speed combination that we're always looking for here. Lots of love in that regard. Last year, and only 37 games, uh, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. Was able to post a respectable walk rate. Uh, he kept the strikeout rate below 20%. No power to speak of with a .066 isolated power, but he did struggle with a low BABIP as the learning curve might have been too much for him in his first taste of the major leagues. A lot better this year compared to last year. Already 3 stolen bases. Uh, Close to you know 1 for 2 walk to strikeout ratio already. So that's what was it before? Has he ever posted? Yeah, he's posted those walk to strikeout ratios before around 0.50, except for last year with the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, that's his steep learning curve. So he's back to, I think this is his norm. I would say I'm comfortable to say that that is his norm, the 0.50 walk to strikeout ratio. So the maturity at the plate is there. Still a little bit of not a lot of pop to talk about, only a 122 isolated power, but we'll see if that pop comes with more time, with more experience, more seasoning at the major leagues. But he's out to a great start. 347 batting average, 404 on base percentage, 381 WOBA, but the expected WOBA is 318. So that's a red flag, flukiness, but that's more likely because of the BABIP. But the guy is pretty fast, as we saw. So we'll see what the batted ball data looks like. But let's see here. Statcast 98.1 mile per hour exit velocity. But what kind of contact is he making? We're about to find out. 0% barrel rate. So that's a major red flag there. 31.7% hard hit rate. And again, the 280 expected batting average is respectable, but the 334 expected slugging percentage, again, kind of a concern here. But we don't get at this moment, we're not getting Mason Wynn, who, by the way, I know I had him listed on my prospect list beginning of the season. And I unfortunately no prospects this week to talk about. The prospect I was going to mention, if I had time to do that, was Andy Paquez of the LA Dodgers, and I just didn't get around to him, and now he's called up, so uh, kind of a lost opportunity there. Let's see, where did Mason in my other prospect spread? Oh, there he is. So in my prospect spreadsheet, the convoluted prospect spreadsheet that I use coming into the season, where I looked at AAA players and players who have a fast track to getting everyday exposure at the major league level sooner rather than later. I have Mason Wynn at 18th because I think the Cardinals always have like a bunch of players that they like to use and in this merry-go-round style. Like the Cardinals are weird. You guys know how I feel about the Cardinals, but yeah, 18th overall behind guys like Joey Ortiz and Nick York of the Red Sox. I actually put Nick York ahead of Mason Wynn. Uh, and Brooks Lee of the Twins, who I also like, so I'll probably get to talking about him soon. But Mason Wynn was 18th, and it's mostly because I thought that the bat wasn't there. That he's more of a defensive player, but I acknowledge that he's going to get a lot of playing time. So let's look at the batted ball data. Yeah, 34.2% line drive rate. That's not going to last long. I'm surprised that the ground ball rate isn't higher. Because I'm okay with a guy like this with that kind of speed to uh hit a lot of ground balls and take advantage of that. But right now he's hitting everything on a rope, line drive, everything, or actually line driving more than not. That's pretty high. That's gonna have to drop probably to around. Well, I don't know if it's 19%. I mean, because last year was at 13.3%, but yeah, 20% is okay. Like around what he hit at Double A and Triple A. I think I could envision him 21% line drive rate. Well, I guess that would mean that his productive raw rate stats will drop, and he's not going to get you much in raw total counting stats. But for the time being, I'm pretty sure he's useful. Those 3 stolen bases will be helpful. I'm pretty sure he's going to steal more bases as the year goes on. He's pulling the ball like crazy after the last after showing in AAA last year that he was more willingly. Excuse me, I have woke up with allergies this morning. And it's just ugh. So he showed that in AAA in 2023 that he could spray the ball all over the field. Uh, so yeah, let's see. And what kind of player is he? Yeah, very patient guy. 26.4% outside the strike zone swing percentage. Doesn't swing a lot of pitches overall. Contact rate is very healthy, 86.4% contact rate. That's not too out of the realm of possibility. So a guy who puts bat to ball, pretty fast guy. He has 3 stolen bases. The list of players that I have on the other screen here, I believe that he was in the top 3 in stolen bases. Let me double check that. Let's see. Yeah. Uh, tied for second was Sal Frelick, another fast guy. Jake Fraley, who showed that he had some stolen base prowess last year. All 3 of those players are at +2 net stolen base. So even though Fraley has 5 stolen bases, he's only at +2. But so Mason Wynn is also a +2, and so is Sal Frelick. But Frelick and Wynn have 3 stolen bases in this young season already. Still, it's pretty darn good there. So at least you'll get the stolen bases, and you're getting a hot bat to speak of right now. So take advantage and see if maybe lightning in a bottle. This is after all the good prospects are gone, this is the next line of prospects to look after in Mason Wynn of the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll move on to the pitchers, the tricky pitchers. As you see, not a good list to start off with. Although Ty Man, last I checked, he's off to a good start. Last I checked, over at Double A, which that's the only issue though, is that he's starting his season out in Double A. So I guess the Tigers are just so deep at Triple A that they don't have room for a guy like Ty Madden, which is just crazy to me. Ty Madden's having himself. I don't think he has anything left to prove in Double A. That's just my opinion. But I honestly don't think Ty Madden, the second player listed here for some reason. But the 24-year-old, it just breaks my heart. 10.66 strikeout per 9, 1.42 walk per 9. This is only after 3 starts, but this is what he did after 25 games starting over at Double A last season. And this is his 3rd stint in Double A. I don't this is crazy. I don't understand what more he has to prove here. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Is it because he has a very low ground ball rate, and if he can't get his ground ball rate to be higher than that, is it that they don't believe in him? I mean, trade him to the Cubs. I'll be happy with that. Yeah, I don't get it. But anyway, but I mean, who am I? The Tigers it looks like they're an improving team, so they're doing something right. We go on to Ryan Weathers here. That's the as you see if you're on YouTube, you see that this is the guy who's highlighted in pink as we account for BABIP between 270 and 370. This time 370 is still high. 270 is still 30 points below 300, but only 6 players qualified, and I've picked Ryan Weathers to be the best of the bunch. He's 24-year-old former Padres prospect, former first-round pick for the Padres. Very promising player a couple years ago when he was called up by the team. well, seemingly he might have been called up way too soon. 22% ownership rate, 270 ERA as at the time of posting these on my spreadsheet here, with 135 WHIP and a 410 FIP, which again, that's still the best of the bunch, unfortunately, as this is the formatting. Oh my God, it's driving me crazy. I thought I had formatted all these sheets already, all these cells already, these splintered cells. There you go. And as of right now, let's check it. Let's move this over here. And before I move any further, let's make sure I'm on the Ryan Weathers page. Oh wait, I forgot that the best way to do it is on the app, on the CBS app, and not on the laptop. Okay, Ryan Weathers. So there's his prospect grades. Big, decent fastball, good slider, change up, and is kind of meh. The command is where it was supposed to be at with this guy, but at the same time, it's only 2+ pitches, I guess you could say. Weathers debut at age 20. Oh, and this is a 2021 report, so let's see how that has changed. So he debuted at the age of 20, was thrust into a starting role during his first full season before he had to develop a third pitch. His fastball sinker shape and his history of velocity fluctuation kept him outside our 50 future value tier as a prospect. So he's come a long way, but now he's kind of like the flavor of the week, so to speak, as he's posted some decent starts lately. Let's see, against the Giants, 6 innings, only 2 earned runs, 10 big strikeouts, and only 1 walk. So the other one was against the Cardinals. That was a pretty decent start, although he did give up only 1 earned run. So he gave up 0 earned runs in 5 innings against the New York Yankees, but 3 walks and 1 strikeout. That's a pretty, as the kids would say, a mid. On Sunday, he'll face Kyle Hendricks, and then he'll turn around and face Patrick Corbin on the 28th of April, as of right now. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he gets Oakland, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he gets the Dodgers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tigers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the Brewers. So pretty easy schedule in the near future before it gets a little bit tougher for the guy. But still, the schedule alone, the promise alone. I mean, he's that big 9.90 strikeout per nine. I know that it's against a 4.05 walk per nine, but as you guys saw up there, that the promise has always been that he could keep command of his pitches. So we'll see if that is a go. Otherwise, the 270 ERA looks nice, but the peripherals do not look very well. I mean, the 410 FIP looks very, and that's the field independent pitching. The strikeout, walks, and hit by pitch and home runs aspect of the ERA. What if there were no fielders? What would you be doing? He would be posting a 410 ERA if there were no fielders behind him, which is better than the other peripherals that you saw up there with the expected ERA and the XFIP. The XFIP accounts for home run data. Let's see. 91.9 exit velocity against him, 12.7 barrel rate. So again, a little bit of these are concerns. 41.8 hard hit rate. But we're kind of desperate for pitching, so we'll take the matchup against Kyle Hendricks. Although that Cubs team is looking like it might be the real deal this year. 43.6 ground ball rate, so at least the emphasis is on the ground ball. 19% pop up rate, so that's pretty good. Sierra 3.97. Hey, that's promising. 397. It's below 4. I'll take that. Let's see. Statcast pitch type, fastball. He's working on a little bit of a cutter. There's that sinking action that they were talking about, but it's only a 6.1% pitch that he uses. Still a 3-pitch pitcher with the slider and the changeup at about 25% for those 2 pitches. So still only a 3-pitch pitcher and still working on a sinker. And let's see, how's that velocity looking? Where the hell did it go? Oh, there it is. Statcast pitch. Yeah, 96 mile per hour fastball. So that'll work for me. That's intriguing enough for me to look at him and see if we got something here. Like, but again, doesn't do a lot of swings. Oh, that's the pitch info. Yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. 24.9% outside the strike zone swing percentage. Contact rate is a little low, so that's good. But he doesn't induce a lot of swings. Although the 12.1 swinging strike percentage is promising. The 30.5% called plus swinging strike percentage is very promising, but it's a career high for him as at this point. So we want to temper our expectations, but at only 20, what was it? What did I say? 22%, and it's still a pitcher learning on the job. Plus those easy matchups that are coming up soon. I I would keep an eye on him. I would keep an eye on him, and actually, I would stream him against the Cubs. Why not? What you got? What do you have to lose? You could do a lot worse, especially if you're in a daily league and that matchup against the Nationals, and then the Athletics are coming up soon. So I would definitely want to be on board the Ryan Weathers train for that. The next pitcher we're going to talk about is Ben Brown, who I still don't know if he's going to be starting this weekend or not, because he was slated to. He was penciled in as a starter, but then things changed after one of the games got postponed. So let's double check with the CBS app to see where they have him. Ben Brown, the Chicago Cubs, 24-year-old, only owning 20%, had a hell of a game the other day against the Diamondbacks. 6 innings pitch, only gave up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts against 2 walks, but did not fare in the decision. And then the previous game against the Padres, only 4 and 2/3 inning, but only gave up 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. So, and against the Rockies, 5 strikeouts, excuse me, 1 walk, only 1 earned run, but only 4 innings pitched. So working on that arm strength a little bit. And unfortunately, he gets, oh no, oh no. So yeah, he's not gonna make it to. I gotta bench him on my other league. He's not gonna make it to the Marlins matchup, as he is slated to face the Astros on the 23rd and then the Mets on the 29th. Oh boy, that's a shame. 2, 3, 4, 5. So he might get the Brewers after that in early May. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Pirates. Do we believe in the Pirates? We'll find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the Braves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the Braves again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Cardinals in late May. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the Reds in late May, unfortunately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then at Cincinnati in early June. So yeah, it's not looking good for our guy Ben Brown here. But what was I saying about him? Only owning 20%. I like him because at the time that I posted this, he was supposed to face the Marlins, and it looks like he's not going to get that opportunity. But he's held his own in very limited amount of time here, as it looks like he's trying to build up his arm strength at the moment. 4.41 ERA is pretty high, but the 110 WHIP is what intrigued me, and the 3.26 field independent pitching is making me want to see more. According to the Fangraphs page, first and foremost, these are the vitals that show here. Age 24, big guy, 6'6", 110-pound guy. Only 24 years old, as I mentioned, the 33rd round pick for the Phillies. So I wonder what trade got involved there. Big fastball, slider is still a work in progress, but looks very promising. Curveball is 60-60 as well, but the command is an issue coming into the 2024 report. So that's why his future value is at 45 plus. Brown has 3+ pitches and late bloomer traits that indicate his command might improve. If not, he'll still be a nasty late inning reliever. Well, that's interesting. Let's see here. All right. So he did 2 stints in the minors, 1 in AA, 1 in AAA. So we'll focus on AAA, where he was kind of a rubber arm kind of guy. He came out of the bullpen and started 15 games last year, posted a whopping 12.39 strikeout per 9. But it got coupled in AAA last year, but it got coupled with 6.32 walk per 9. So that's why I didn't like him last year. Okay. Low ground ball rates at AAA, so that's kind of concerning. 5.33 ERA, but the peripherals show that he's not that bad. He's still bad, but not that bad. And then right now, in very limited time, only averaging about 4 innings per start, and he's already done 2 games out of the bullpen and 2 games straight into the mound there as a 2 started games already. 8.27 strikeout per 9 with a 3.31 walk per 9 ratio. Still low ground ball rate, 34.9%. The peripherals don't like him, but field independent pitching sees something in him. So that's why he has a very low 326, probably the strikeouts and the low walks. Yeah, so it's a mixed bag of here. So it could be really, really ugly or really, really good, but still too soon to make any headwind out of this. Again, you can see he's getting pummeled out there, so he must be getting some great defensive play behind him. As you can see from the exit velocity, 95 miles an hour, 14% barrel rate, 62.8% hard hit rate. So yeah, this is this isn't good. This is but growing pains, right? That's what we're trying to figure out. Are the growing pains for Ben Brown going to be worth it? Not. So it looks like he somehow lost his way as a ground ball pitcher. He was trending to be a ground ball pitcher throughout his minor league career with the Cubs. And then something in AAA happened where the ground ball rates weren't as high, and now he's a fly ball pitcher for some reason here with the Cubs, which yeah, 399 Sierra, so that's promising, but still in the high mark. Statcast pitch type. So it's still only three. Oh, it's actually two pitches. 66% fastball, 32% knuckle curve, and still working on a changeup. So that those breaking pitches, they said, so let's forget about those breaking pitches. Just we're gonna teach you this new pitch called a knuckle curve, and you can see the AAA that he used the slider a lot last year, and somehow they were able to transform it into a knuckle curve. It's always funny how these teams are able to change grips and makeup and what pitches to use and what not to use. But he's always been a two-pitch pitcher. So, but he's no Spencer Strider, I could tell you that much. Let's see, 96 mile per hour fastball, so that's intriguing. And I can only imagine how bad the plate discipline numbers. Yeah, he doesn't induce a lot of swings, just like Ryan Weathers. So again, two promising pitchers, both 24 years old, both maybe brought up too soon. But well, in the case of Ben Brown, I mean, it's already 24 years old. But Brown showing some promise, only a 75.9% contact rate. So how does that compare to everybody else on the other screen? The contact rate for the starting pitchers because I think there were 18 starting pitchers that made the list. Bear with me, folks. 75.9%. Well, let's see. Is this updated? Will it update? Because I created this report on Fangraphs a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, but it should be updated. So I have to go the other way. Bear with me, guys. Thanks for your patience. All right. So Ryan Weathers at 71.2% overall contact rate is the second lowest on the list. Ben Brown is sixth lowest. So some promise, some real promise here. What about outside the strike? Outside the strike zone contact rate. But again, it's a short sample size though, and these guys have very limited pitching makeups. Ryan Weathers is a little bit more advanced than Ben Brown, however. But again, outside the strike zone contact rate, 49% for Ryan Weathers. That's number one on the list. And number 5 on the list is Ben Brown with a 60.9% contact rate. But again, these guys don't induce a lot of swings either. Who induced the most swings outside the strike zone on this list here? Tyler Anderson of the Angels, followed by Jordan Wicks. So I think Jordan Wicks was a player that showed up on the list, not on the names to mention on the podcast, but on the overall list that I was working on the last time I did this earlier in the season. So some work in promise, but again, what do you expect from guys who are only owning 20% of leagues? Just for the sake of comparison, how does that rank among? Because I kind of like the Ryan Weathers pick over the Ben Brown pick. Ben Brown is a work in progress and something. And I was more excited because he had what looked to be an easy schedule coming up against the Marlins, and that got derailed, and now his schedule looks tough. But you know what? It's Major League Baseball. All these teams should be tough matchups anyway. But again, it's all relative, but still. Okay, other players that are available, pitchers that are available. Jack Leiter, Jose Butto still available. Edward Cabrera. I'm just naming names. These are Ranger Suarez, 89% ownership rate. Paul Blackburn, 57%. Martin Perez, well, we'll talk about him in a little bit. Seth Lugo, and Javier Assad still available. Joe Ross is still in the league. Unbelievable to say that. Joe Ross still available in the s- still playing in the league, which is just crazy. Nick Lodolo, 84%. Mackenzie Gore, 81%. So yeah, either Ben Brown is his ownership rate's gonna drop after this week, or maybe maybe something will click in the next couple of starts and that'll rise. Too soon to tell, but that's the fun of this, right? When you go for players that are owning less than 50%. All right, let's go to the fun stuff. Oops. James McArthur's name got cut off. Let's start with James McArthur. So this one, how many players were listed? 11 relievers listed, and I was able to narrow it down to 4 players, and I had a hard time choosing because they're all so good in their own little ways. But I went ahead and went with James McArthur just simply for the fact that he got the most saves of any player on the list, because Kirby Yates was also in there as well, but I decided to just go with James McArthur. It's getting off to a pretty pretty decent season. Some little bit of a bad luck factor. I didn't do any BABIP control here because I like we talked about with Jacob last week, or the last time we did this. Uh, it seems like relief pitchers are more of a guarantee than any a player in Major League Baseball. So we figured that didn't matter. At least I figured it doesn't matter. Plus, again, we're looking for saves. McArthur looks like he's cemented that role in Kansas City. The Royals are off to a great start. Last I checked, they're still in first place, right? This thing's being difficult. Oh, there it is. Oh no, they're in second place in the AL Central behind the Guardians, 12-7 record. So yeah, off to a great start for them. So McArthur, 12th round pick. Sorry about that. There's the Fangraphs page. 27-year-old, 6'7", 230-pounder, big boy, 12th rounder. Back in the 2018 draft. Had a decent fastball, pretty good curveball. Changeup was a work in progress. Was trying to develop a cutter, graded at 45-50, 45-50 command, but only 35 plus future value. Let's see what he's done with the Royals. Do we care about the minors? No, let's check out the minors. We can't help ourselves here. AAA with the Royals. So that was his yeah, he did the Phillies and the Royals last year. Mostly coming out of the bullpen for the AAA affiliate for the Royals. 23 games, 40 innings pitched, 12.61 strikeout per 9, 4.65 walk per 9, which not the best, but still we kind of expect high walk rates from dominant relievers like this. And think about Aroldis Chapman. Pretty good ground ball rate, 48.4% in AAA, 3.98 ERA, but the peripherals love him. Or at least say that his 3.98 ERA is as close to the real deal as it comes, that it's pretty legit. Last year, the strikeout rate was not as high when he made it to the big league club, but he did miraculously control his walks and his home runs. Well, the home runs, he was able to control the home runs all the time, but the walks, 0.77 walk per 9. That's a little fluky. 58.7% ground ball rate, which he's never posted that high in the higher levels of the minors in his career. So kind of fluky right there as well. ERA of 4.63 last year, but the peripherals absolutely love him. They think he was a lot better than that. And sure enough, this year, 11.17 strikeout per 9, 0.93 walk per 9. So something must have clicked with the Royals. Something must have happened with the Royals where they were able to finally get that command and control and not give up so many damn walks. And 3.72 ERA, the peripherals love him, especially FIP at 1.34 field independent pitching. He doesn't need no stinking fielders behind him. Let's see here. What was I like? Statcast. Okay, 90.6 mile per hour exit velocity, 10.7 barrel rate, 42.9% hard hit rate. So, but expected ERA is right in line with his real ERA. So, mixed bag. A little bit of concern with some of the barrel rates and the hard hit rates, but I'll mark it as a guy who throws fast so he gets hit, who throws hard so he gets hit hard. We'll just call it that. High line drive rate, 21.4% against, 46.4% ground ball rate. So remains to be seen what kind of player what kind of pitcher he's going to end up being. Sierra loves him. So Sierra is the ERA that accounts for batted ball. So they're pretty much saying that the high BABIP, because I think he does have a high BABIP. Yeah, 429 BABIP. If it were lower, he would have a 226 ERA according to Sierra, the Skills Interactive ERA. Gets put in a lot of high leverage situation. Win probability added up 0.69 this year. Last year was at 1.14. So it's a game of inches. So he's develop into a very trustworthy relief pitcher. Statcast data, pitch type, throws a sinker. That explains. Actually, that doesn't explain anything. But 32.4% sinker, 25.5% slider, and a 39.3% curveball. So that's three pitch mix. Oh, that's a changeup. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. This is pretty darn good for a relief pitcher, actually. That's like nice little mixed bag there. Well, I wish I had time to see the movements on those things. 94.7 mile per hour on the sinker. So that's pretty healthy. And of course, my favorite aspect of it, the plate discipline. Yeah, he induced a lot of swings outside the strike zone. So that's his bread and butter, is making guys swing at pitches outside the strike zone when they don't want to, because overall swing is only at 46.2%. I like to see that closer to 50%, but I love this, the 39.3% outside the strike zone swing percentage, only a 48.6% contact rate outside the strike zone, 64.2% overall contact rate, which is magnificent, I think. Let's see, how does that compare to everybody else on this 11-player list, which includes guys like Joel Payamps, Ryan Presley, Aroldis Chapman, Michael Kopech, and a list of 11 relievers on the other screen here. James McArthur is number one, the least amount of contact rate given up. So he's the real deal there in that regard. 16.6 swinging strike percentage, a whopping 40% call plus swinging strike percentage. Unbelievable that he's owned in only 42% of leagues. This guy should be league-wide owned right now. But the other players that were listed, well, I guess it doesn't matter because it's only below 50%. So he will look good by comparison. But still, for people that always complain that there's no saves, well, there's your saves guy right there. Go out and get him. And then so I was only going to do one relief pitcher this week, but I couldn't help myself. I see Jojo Romero only owning 8% of leagues. So because he doesn't get saves, but what he does get is holds. He already has 7 whopping holds, easily the number one on the list of 11 players I have on the other screen there. Aroldis Chapman is at 5 holds, and then everybody's at 2 or 1 or 0. But Jojo Romero, 27-year-old lefty for the St. Louis Cardinals, former fourth rounder, the 2021 report, 55 fastball, 55 slider, 55 changeup, 45 command, only a 40 plus future value. So far this year, 12.10 strikeout per 9, very minuscule walk rate, but he's been posting minuscule walk rates since making his way to the Cardinals, especially in 2023. His first full season with the Cardinals, 2.45 walk per 9. So they did something. The only thing I don't like is the 1.90 BABIP. That's kind of a red flag, but we'll take it. We'll take the 7 holds, even if it comes with a low BABIP, which means that we're going to expect some sort of rude awakening for him, so to speak. But so far, ERA at 1.86, and the peripherals love him. They're saying, yeah, that's about right. The 186 ERA, that's about right, they say. Keeping batters off balance, 88.5% exit velocity, 9.1%. That's still a little high, but if it's below 10, I think I'm comfortable with that. Still a 40.9% hard hit rate, but at least the exit velocity is below 90 miles an hour, so I will live with that. Big ground ball pitcher, 54.5% ground ball rate, and a whopping 28.6 infield. This is the pop-up rate right here, 28.6% pop-up rate. Little bit high, but I'll take it. We'll take it for now. It's automatic outs, right? So just get it done, get the holds, and move on. What kind of pitches does he throw? Let's see. Statcast pitch type: 18.4% fastball, 34% sinker, 27.9% slider, and 19.7% changeup. Actually, this is the curve. I'm sorry. So James McArthur throws a 34 point something change curveball, not a changeup. Jojo Romero is the one who throws a changeup, so I do apologize for the mix-up there. I should have hovered over to the header and I would have gotten my answer. So there's a curveball. Romero doesn't throw a curveball, but he does throw changeups. The sack has pitch velocity 95 mile per hour on the fastball, 93.9 on the sinker. So it's pretty healthy for a lefty. And then we finally get to the plate discipline, which is always my favorite aspect of this research here. Oh yeah, 38.1% outside the strike zone swing percentage. How does that compare to everybody else on the big list I have of 11 relievers? And again, guys like Kirby Yates are available. Oops, I clicked too much on that. So Kirby Yates is number one there on the list at 43% outside the strike zone swing percentage. James McArthur at number 2 with 39.3, and then at number 3 is Jojo Romero, 38.1% outside the strike zone swing percentage. Only a minuscule 37.5% outside the strike zone contact rate, which he's making guys swing at pitches outside the strike zone, and they're not getting much handle on that. And only a 64.3% contact rate. So McArthur was at what? 64.2%. So Romero's up there, 17% swinging strike. A lot to like here early on in the season. If you're in a holds league, go out and get this guy with confidence. If I had room for him, I would get him right now. But again, you can say, well, it's only 8%. I mean, I could wait. Yeah, but in holds leagues, guys like him will be snatched up pretty quickly, I do believe. What other relief pitchers are available? I mentioned Kirby Yates, who's only at 43%. I saw James McArthur. Mason Miller still owned at 67% of ownership rate. So that'd be the guy to get right now. I would get Mason Miller over the guys I just spoke about. But if Mason Miller's gone, I'd be content with James McArthur. If I'm in a holds league and I need holds, I would be content with Jojo Romero. But again, usually that's the one thing I don't like. Oh, there's Kyle Finnegan. You guys want to get on the Kyle Finnegan train? 53% own. But that's the thing I don't like about this. Jason Foley, 78%. So wow, 78% for Jason Foley. He of the 100 mile per hour fastball and the usurping the closer role in Detroit. Jeff Hoffman at 17%. Ryan Stanek at 6%. Craig Kimbrell at 92%. So the pickings are slim, and the other guys on the list, they're no. I mean, Romero and McArthur are the best of the bunch, along with Kirby Yates. But Kirby Yates, a little bit fluky, more flukiness than anything. I mean, 111 BABIP, that's a little too low. That's even lower than Romero at 190. That's and more concerning, especially Yates at 37 years old. What kind of smoke and mirrors is he using? Michael Kopech's on the list. Ryan Presley is on the list. Jeff Hoffman on the list. Joel Payamps. Yuki Matsui, who has kind of disappointed this season. Alex Lang, who was supposed to come in as a closer. He, like I mentioned, Jason Foley has usurped him. And Griffin Jacks somehow shows up on this list, but I wouldn't get him. Not now, at least. And our oldest Chapman, I think he's more name than substance at this point. Yeah, I think McArthur and Romero are the ways to go here. And that is the list. Finished. Wow, so that's what happens when there's no guests. I can actually finish in a timely manner. Hope you guys found this informative. Again, the point is, we're trying to look for those next batch of players who can help. They're right now owning less than 50%. So these are sneaky picks, speculative selections here. They may turn out to be something. They may not turn out to be something. But even the guys who everybody talks about, the guys who are owning 70, 80, 90% of leagues, and you're hearing the pundits on the other podcasts and on their articles saying, you got to get this guy in right now, get this guy right now. They may falter. Like their hot start might be smoke and mirrors. So anyway, just another way of looking at having a little bit of fun with the waiver wire. So I hope you guys had fun listening to this as we delve in deep on some players that may not get a lot of pub right now among fantasy circles, but they're having pretty decent seasons on their own. And, they're off to a great start. We'll see how it goes for them as the season goes on. Until then, this is the Total Bases Podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll talk later. Have a good one, everybody.